touch, your health is our responsibility.
Oh gosh, baby, the wedding is just days away and we never booked the caterer.
Oh, wait, just now. Oh, relax, baby. I already called Michelin already. Michelin Experience.
Wait, what? When?
Sometime last week, the same caterer that did our Christmas party at work, remember? When your sister showed up uninvited and she took all the leftovers?
But one thing for sure, the lasagna, they taste real good.
I know. They're tasty, reliable, and affordable. They even deliver. And if you want, they could cook on site. So go back to bed, baby. Don't worry. Everything done handled. Michelin has us.
Have a great night rest knowing Michelin has you from weddings to business functions. Michelin Experience Limited delivers unforgettable flavor and flawless services. So call them at 474-2250 or follow on social media at Michelin Experience. Great food, exceptional service every time.
Looking for the ultimate weekend vibe?
Then pull up to Experience Bar,
where every weekend is a celebration of culture,
music, and pure energy.
Kick things off every Friday at 4 p.m. with the Experience After Work line.
Good vibes, cold drinks,
and the perfect way to unwind after the grind.
Then on Saturday at 10 p.m., it's time to turn up with Strictly Local Saturdays After Party.
Hosted by DJ Flex 868
and Gingerbread,
blending Trinbago's hottest hits with
global trending bangers.
And when Sunday rolls in,
we set the tone for your week ahead with Reggae Sundays.
Positive vibrations from 9 p.m. that'll have you feeling only goodness and inspired.
Enjoy drink specials, secure parking,
and free admission every single weekend at number 2 Eastern Main Road, Aruca.
This is where the culture lives and the vibes never miss. So come through, bring your crew,
and experience the weekend like never before.
At Experience Bar, number 2 Eastern Main Road, Aruca.
It's Black Friday every day at Furniture Plus. Get up to 70% off in-store and online. Shop unbelievable deals on furniture, appliances, mattresses, and more. Pay 0 installments for 90 days on credit plans. Shop now and save big at Furniture Plus.
What are you doing? It's crazy. I'm young brother. This year I say I'm not cooking. Hey. Young brother, ask me what you're doing. Crazy, your family them go start screwing. Without food, well, the Christmas could ruin. Tell them to settle and cease. They will still get a piece. Cause KFC have a big festive feast. Where they bring all the chicken. I know it finger licking. I'm crazy. You can stay out of the kitchen and have a festive feast. A festive feast. Come make it around with KFC. A festive feast. A festive feast. Is young brother and the crazy. A festive feast. A festive feast. It could have be original or spicy. A festive feast. A festive feast. Come let me around with KFC.
Celebrate Christmas with KFC's Festive Feast. Get a festive box, 3 pieces of tenders and wedges for only $39.95. Or a festive bucket, 8 pieces of chicken, 2 regular size, and 2 portions of wedges for $159. KFC, it's finger licking good.
Blessings in the wonderful name of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. You are invited to listen to the Final Hour broadcast heard every Monday
from 11 p.m. to 5 a.m. in the morning on the Street 919 FM.
Hear my mom, Pastor Helen Garcia, and myself, Pastor Valentine Garcia Jr., preach the Word of God to the elderly, youth, and children. We can be contacted at 629-0113 or 623-8444. The church is located at 26 Prince Street in Port of Spain. We look forward to you joining us. God bless you.
As my life I lay it on the altar, as my life.
Tune in to the Street 919 FM every Friday from 9:15 a.m. to 9:45 a.m. with Kingdom Health Services, situated at number 125 to 186 Eastern Main Road in Tunapuna, for the program Health and Healing, merging the old with the new, with Mr. Brent Diet. For more information, call 318-7471 or 484-0141 or 360-4100. It's all about Kingdom Health Services on the Street 919 FM.
The Embassy Yacht is back
and ready to transform your events into unforgettable experiences. Launch from Kings Wharf, San Fernando, the perfect starting point for an epic experience of luxury, music, and celebration on the open water. By booking our vessel, your event will include a house DJ, state-of-the-art sound system, fully stocked bar, dedicated cleaning crew, top-notch security. This isn't just a venue, it's a floating masterpiece designed to make your event the talk of the town. Imagine your guests dancing under the stars, drinks in hand, with breathtaking views of the coastline as your backdrop. From birthdays to corporate events to exclusive parties, the Embassy Yacht offers promoters a unique platform to create unforgettable memories and boost your brand's reputation. Call or WhatsApp 399-5959 or email embassycruises@gmail.com.
It's the most wonderful time of the year.
Merry Christmas.
Starting November 1st, we kick off the Parang and Christmas season right here. Ready to hear your song? Email us your request at street919music@gmail.com with your contact number, and you will get to shout out your music on the air.
Share the live. Share the live. The Street 919 FM on Facebook and Instagram. Share the live. Iowa George on Instagram. Share the live. Iowa TV and Street TV on YouTube. Share the live. The Street 919 FM.
Yes, listeners, and of course callers, I am back. You are on the Third Empire Show, and you are listening to Stephen Matheson. Before we, as you all know, I will have came in late. I came in late on the show this evening, and because of the inclement weather and other things, and I had started talking about the achievement of Mr. Austin Jack Warner on achieving his doctorate in philosophy, his PhD from the University of Trinidad and Tobago. And I was saying that among the things he would have said, and for which I agree with, is that education does not have a shelf life. So I was saying that I agree with that. Learning is lifelong. You're always learning. And if you are not learning and growing, then maybe you don't belong to the world, because it is important to be learning all the time and growing. Every day learn new things. And that is education. What might, of course, be the thing with the shelf life is certification. Certification, in my opinion, has a shelf life. And I say this because many people in Trinidad and Tobago, we seem to all the time go to school, certainly just to get certification, to get a job, or to achieve something with that certification. And if you are not practicing, if you just went to school, regurgitate, pass an exam just to get the certification, well, of course, that will have a shelf life. So that was notable. That coming out of what I saw was the celebration of Jack Warner and his family. It was important to note that. I saw in that same ceremony Israel Khan, right, who also an honorary doctorate of law recipient. He would have said a few things that startled me and other persons, and he was very right in what he would have said, right, in respect to the amount of persons in prison today. Some over 300 people in prison today, 12 and 15 years, and an honorary man awaiting trial. And that, to me, is startling, because we still believe in the principle that a man is innocent until proven guilty, and therefore you are presumed innocent short of once you didn't receive a trial or hearing, you are presumed to be innocent until proven guilty, right? So sometimes those things define a society. How fair a society may be defined by how justice is administered, and that is something that's a point he would have raised, and I see that he was quite right in making that those revelations. That is something maybe we can probably discuss at some point in time. What another issue that really was in headlines today and made for good reading, but which was of great significance, was the 5 men who sued the Catholic Church, the state, and of course the men who, or the persons who would have been seen as predators at these homes for children, some of which investigations were done decades ago, or crimes committed decades ago. And this reminds me of a particular crime with a gentleman, a young man. He would have been a senior, probably well in his 20s now, Sean Luke. All these kind of situations that engaged the attention of the authorities, the police and all these people, that was not investigated properly, or perpetrators still walking around. These things also defines our society, and these things say a lot. And so the gentleman who had gotten the court to I would say, probably to allow for the lawsuit to go through, taking into consideration the statutory period. I await to hear where that is going to go and how it will end, because that, to me, those issues to me is very serious, and maybe it is something that the country at large should be discussing, because these things have a lot of implications for young persons in adult life, and it is something that we should probably pay a particular attention to, and probably nudge on the government and the justice system to deal with in a particular kind of way. One other thing, or I should say 2 other things that have piqued my attention today was the PSA calls and the PSA assertion that the CPO asking the question whether or not the CPO is getting directions from somewhere else or somebody else, because they are still awaiting, or they are still hoping that the 10% or the pronouncement by the Minister of Finance at budget that the negotiations start with at the CPO at 10%, they are still wondering why that hasn't happened as yet. And in fact, they would have given the assurance to their followers that they would be given some kind of back pay or no, before Christmas. And that seems to be hanging right now in the balance, because they are concerned that that may not happen. I'm not seeing it happening, but they are getting very antsy, and of course it is now leading back to other places that that could have some kind of uproar. The CPO would have invited them to a meeting, I think it's for Friday, and that meeting, they said, was not to discuss the negotiation, but instead to discuss the state of the economy. And that is something that, I would want to discuss, or I would want to probably entertain your calls with, because that, to me, is serious. If the country just don't have the funds to do it, then the question would have to be raised, what is more important? I mean, people are still living, they are still being paid, there are a number of other things that has to be taken care of, and I'm just rationalizing the whole thing. I'm not saying that is how the PSA should see it, or anybody in fact should see it, but I'm saying that we have to also look at the common good here and how that will play off in society. A lot of people will be saying, well, the promise, this is a broken promise. People will be looking to see how promises are broken. But listen, people have to run a country, and you don't know sometimes what you could do and what you can't do until you reach inside there and see the state of things. And I'm telling you, if you don't know, things are not as rosy as you think. When you get in there, you would see the kind of craziness that was taking place, or the position that we are in, which will allow us or not allow us to be able to do certain things. And that is something that responsible people, all responsible persons at the table, must sit and decide how we're going forward, and and deal with it accordingly. I also found to be very, I don't want to say disturbing, but I also found to be a very serious issue. What would have happened at the HGC? And the chairman would have aptly described the situation at the HGC as a sick cow with ticks, and for which they had to at least stabilize the situation, because they are running on huge deficits, and if the government is to meet its mandate, or its stated mandate, to provide this 20,000 houses, they may not necessarily be able to do so, given all the other costs that has been created in expenditure over the years. And those are things that any government or any administrator going forward must look at, especially in this case, if you want to pursue government agendas in a very efficient way, you have to look at how or where you're getting the funds from. And if what your stock in trade is, if it could provide the kind of funds or the kind of revenue to run the thing to where you want to take it. And this is the position that the country will have to look at, the country will have to consider, and we have to approach this from a mature perspective to see if we could do it. There are a lot of things, there are a lot of prevailing factors that will allow us to do it, and there are other factors that may allow us not to be able to do it. And the people of Trinidad and Tobago, of course, they will be demanding some kind of answers or rationale as to whether or not these things could be done, how it will be done, where we get any money from. But also we have to also be, apart from being rational, we also have to be fair in our judgment and fair in our understanding of the situation. So, I would open the lines, the phone lines. It's 342-0081 and 466-5391. You can call me and engage me. Tell me how you find the baton side is batting, if they are going to on a trajectory where they are, make the kind of runs that we expect them to make, which they themselves indicate that they were going to make. And on the other hand, how is the bowling side bowling? Are they bowling? Today I can't see right or wrong, so you will tell me too how they're bowling and if the bowling makes sense for the batting lineup. So I invite you to call. Let's have those kind of discussions. HGC, people went home. The challenge is, let me take this call. Good evening, caller.
Hey, good afternoon, Mr. Matheson.
Afternoon.
Good afternoon to you and all the other umpires. Hope all is well with you all.
Yeah.
Listening to the topics here is a couple different ones. The main one is with the CPO and the PSA. A lot of these stories I really don't follow too in depth. Just see the surface. But to my recollection, within the past 2 years, maybe 3 years, a couple different public sector organizations would have been on the news expressing some level of dissatisfaction with conversations with the CPO, and that would have also existed under the last administration. So it seems as though, it may be something to investigate. We can't just take it at a surface level. But, thinking in real time here as an average citizen, it's how do we get these persons to explain their side, transparency. From what I know, the CPO is one of the organizations that's supposed to be independent from a party, along with the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service. So, at one point you raised...
But I don't know if you remember, I don't know if you remember that a couple probably days ago, when the issue was raised by the said PSA leader, the CPO would have indicated that, or the minister, I should say, the Minister of Finance would have indicated that there was some broad parameters and that kind of thing to work out before the CPO could make certain decisions. Not everybody understand what these may be and how that works in the real world, right? And I suspect it have to do with the allocation of funds and that kind of thing. So the CPO is not necessarily, while he might be independent, I don't think he could necessarily work on his own. He has to depend on other factors that would assist in him making certain decisions or allowing for certain things. And so those things you would have to consider also in coming up at a position in this whole matter.
Of course, I totally agree with you. When I use the term independent, I solely and mainly mean independent from political allegiance or bias. It's supposed to be neutral, assessing, the best objective management of the public service for the best interests of the country. I am not an expert by any means at all, but sometimes persons use vague terms like that. Is many different limbs of consideration and there's many different things to consider when they kind of beating around the bush, and I just think in theory, right? You could probably shed more light than me, of course. So I will close now by saying, that the public sector is essential, right? And I think when they coming up with whatever value they think should be a significant or increase in the salary, it should be substantiated by some type of information. I guess the main one is the rate of inflation, and I guess with the assistance of the Ministry of Labor or the Central Statistical Office, they can get some insight as to what you know, the increases in wages in maybe even the private sector, some functions on a similar level. The job mightn't be the same. So you go ahead. You want to interject?
One thing that remains almost constant all the time is the expenditure, right?
Okay.
People working and people will have to get paid. If on the expenditure side, it remains constant or it goes up, but on the revenue side, I mean, it is not rocket science. On the revenue side, it's going down or it's not happening at all, then you will see where you will have a problem somewhere at some point in time, right?
Absolutely.
And my belief is that it's better to eat a little and live long than to keep eating more and die. The thing is, you heard what the chairman of the HEC said, and I tend to agree with him.
What did he say?
You can't have a sick cow with ticks and you don't have any milk to feed it. The better thing might be to, you know, get rid of some of the ticks, and I just saying, I mean, using the analogy he used, it's a serious thing, right? If you really want, you know, we on this program we always talk about belly in the cat. And
solutions.
Over the years, nobody, every government, for whatever reason, well, I don't want to say for whatever reason, we know why they don't want a belly cat, because we're talking about the voter bank and we're talking about all that kind of thing. But if you really want, efficiency,
what does that phrase belly cat mean? Just for clarity, real quick.
Well, it goes from the days of a particular story where these cats were eating all the rats around, and they had a problem with that, the rats. And one day, one rat come up with a very good, brilliant idea. When the cat goes to sleep at a particular time, and when he goes to sleep, if someone could put a bell around his neck, on his feet somewhere, right? Then when he wake up and he are wrong, looking to eat us, we will know, because we will hear the bell. The challenge was at the time, most of the rats will ask, well, who will be the one to go and belly cat? Because the one who go to belly cat could get eat.
True.
Right?
Yeah. Well,
that's the challenge. That's the challenge with governments. Nobody want to belly cat, because everybody figure if they belly cat, they will disintegrate. They will become nothing. But they can't have the bell.
Yeah. Well, from the metaphor you give, I would look at the cats in this scenario as a problem. You know.
Yeah.
But I mean, as you said, it's not rocket science. We have an economy. For the longest while, they have been speaking about diversifying from oil and gas. We know over the years that the price of oil and gas has significantly dropped over the years.
Listen, caller. Take Wassa, for instance. I mean, I'm talking. Take Wassa, for instance. I think somebody brought it up yesterday. When 16 and 20 persons will come by a hole in the road, a situation in the road, a leak, right? To fix that leak. 16 of them come with 2 backhoe and a truck. Or 1 backhoe and 2 trucks. And 16 men come to fix that hole. At any given time, 15 of them standing up.
Wow.
And 1 digging. Right? And the backhoe man. And then, more than likely, here when they come, they come in the evening, when they could get overtime. So more money on the state. I mean, they had all the time in the morning, during time when they was getting normal hours.
True.
The problem is, I just using Wassa as an example, because you see it happening in other state entities. That's the problem, right? And a lot of things have been formed over the years to get around those things, but it hasn't worked in any significant way. Right? You have bureaucracy in the system that is causing a lot of hold up, a lot of wastage, a lot of expenditure that has been generated. You have everything in the procurement system. You have everything. Seems not to be working for the people of Trinidad and Tobago in the way that it should be working. And at the end of the day, what is at stake is productivity, is the ease of which we do business, is efficiency, is standard of living, is roads, is everything. Everything is at stake. So somebody has to belly cat and come and fix all these organizations one by one and maybe take the licks for it.
Well, you're quite correct. I mean, you're quite correct. So don't want to take up too much time. I mean, you see, I trying to figure out who is in exact leadership, not absolute. Continue from the conversation you all had yesterday, but if the CPO in this case is an independent person in a sense from politics, but I mean, I guess he's still under the regulation of the current administration. So then we might need to look at, because from the concept you would have given, right, on a lower level, 16 people show up to do our work, but only 1 out of 16 working.
And you know something? The funny thing, the fixing of that leak cause more problems, because you leave the road halfway done, you cause more damage to people's vehicles, you cause more disruption in traffic, you cause all kind of thing for months. You're going down and hold people, losing the damaging the vehicles, all kind of thing. Right?
Properly.
And all those things are things that we had to address. Listen, I saw you travel. I remember this one time I was in Chicago and I saw a whole road paved in the daytime. A whole road paved. By the time I went out and come back, it paved the whole road, like a new carpet.
Wow.
And you know how many people did that? About 4 people.
Wow. And simple things like that, it comes down to core ethics. You know,
you see, big trucks moving with a backhoe and thing, and you see one man in it. And that man operating the truck, he operating the backhoe, he doing everything. He come out, he do whatever, he put it back up. A hoist come out, it pick up the little backhoe, it put it back on the truck, and he go on again. Normal.
You're highlighting ethics there. I'll come off and listen at great points from your end, but it sounds to me that as though you're highlighting ethics. You know, Martin Luther would say, the character of a person is not what you do in public but in silence. So it could be in office on the 25th floor. You have the power to sign off on this, respond to emails, not respond to emails, and that goes a long way in terms of affecting the mass society, and unfortunately not just the current generation, the effects that transfers onto our next generation. So
correct.
I don't know if these people really under.
So let's give somebody else a chance. Yeah, so the problem is, I mean, when you hear about these things, I'm not agreeing that, I'm not saying that maybe the way the persons were sent home at the AGC, their contract ended, they obviously have a reasonable expectation, but maybe the AGC could explore retrenchment or retrenchment procedures or whatever. Well, these persons are, of course, contract workers, and they get a gratuity at the end of the program. So a retrenchment exercise may not necessarily be the solution. Maybe they could have done something else. Let's take this call. Good evening, caller.
Yeah, good afternoon, Umpire Matheson.
Yeah.
I know you alone yet this afternoon, and it's raining all the New York, it's raining.
Rainy night in Georgia.
Yeah, well, it's more than rainy night in Georgia. It's rainy night in La Hoqueta.
All over.
All over. Yeah, man, but, you know, happy to have you present there. First, I hear about Jack Warner. Mr. Jack Warner has a PhD. But all PhD means a doctorate in philosophy. But up to now, I didn't get what was it? What was it?
Well, I saw philosophy, so letters. So I think just like you, it is that.
Yeah, but I want to know what if you have a PhD in law, some people have a PhD in mathematics. What it is?
Well, I didn't see that. I didn't see that. Maybe I didn't read that far. I didn't see what it was.
Well, that is what.
But we can still research it later.
Yeah, that is what I want to know, because here in PhD or PhD in what? Right? Anyhow, on the issue with the CPU, well, I am affected by that because I have three years, well, almost 4 years, as a retiree, right? And the thing is, people have legitimate expectation, and right now there's a division in what they call the public sector. Because some unions took the 4%, some didn't take nothing at all, and and people have what they call legitimate expectations. And I do not know the...
Well, legitimate expectation is limited, is a concept, a rule, I should say, that has its limitations. Right? Limited expectation will only be up to the point where the organization hasn't changed the nature of the job. So if the organization do a restructure, say, and you doesn't fall within the plan of that restructure, then you have no legitimate expectation because the job changed. Your job doesn't exist again. And which is why I was saying that maybe AGC could have pursued that. A restructure, it might have taken some time, but then you would have taken away that expectation because now the job doesn't exist anymore.
Well, I am speaking about legitimate expectation in terms of people expect some kind of compensation from the areas, as it was mentioned. But by on or before December.
Well, you're talking about the PSA business?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Oh, right. Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about.
Oh, I thought you was going to the HGC. What are you talking about the HGC?
No, I ain't talking HGC yet. I'm talking PSA. I'm talking about PSA CPU. And the normally due process is that both parties must sit down and face to face and trash out whatever movement in terms of the collective agreement or what was placed on the table, right? Now, in this position, well, the first time I know that, in this position, that 10% was offered even before negotiations started, and that at least you have a figure to start with, and I do not know what is the delay. I do not know if the CPU maybe never had that type of collective bargaining process and maybe depending on advisors and other people to assist them. I do not know. But the thing is, workers in general, public officers, and more so public servants, because there's a difference between a public officer and a public servant. You know that? Right? A public officer is like a policeman out of the civil service.
Yeah. I understand that.
Right. So, and the point is, Christmas is a time of giving in Trinidad, is a time of celebration, and everybody, have somebody they want to buy a gift for, some grandmother, some godchild, somebody, some close relative. And I don't know how these people will face this thing, including myself. But the thing is that I was suggesting, I was suggesting two scenarios. One, you pay all serving officers from 2014 till today. You pay them an advance, a 1 month advance in salary. So you're right. December we give you extra month salary, and then it will be deducted whenever the collective agreement is solved, right? Or you can say, right, from range X to range Y, we giving everybody a 3,005, and at the higher range, we'll give people a 5,000, which also will be deducted whenever the negotiations are settled, right? But something must be done because it really is a kind of situation, and then public officers and public servants find themselves with this based on the last government with all these years, and people are entitled for this under the IRA for collective agreement no less than 3 years and no more than 5 years, right? and people, you know, they just feel, I feel workers, public servants feel let down. And I'm going back again, there is this division and who got and who didn't get. Right? To speak colloquially.
Well, I you know, I listen to all the argument, and I believe that something should happen. Somebody should say something with respect to that situation in particular. I don't know how they will resolve it, because it appears to me that the situation might be the allocation of funds to pay. Because I don't know toy money to talking about it.
Well, it come like you. If you give me a job to work at your yard, and then when I reach home, when I don't cut salary, tell me that you don't have no money. I'm just trying to bring it down to
No, it wouldn't be like that. If you give me a job to work at my house, and while I work in my house, I tell you, work at the yard, and while I work in the yard, I tell you, listen, this job going to cost you more. And I say, well, here what happened. Down the road, I'll see how best I could pay that more. I mean, I promise you, you'll get something.
Right.
But when that time reach,
I am promising, if I do have the, first I'm asking you, what is the cost of your labor? And if I do have the money, I say, hey, I will call you back the next day, you know, because I don't want to own nobody and they come and shoot on my house.
Well, I will do, but politicians don't necessarily do that.
Right? But the thing is, we have a whole public service, and we have to look at some alternative. I just come up with two. Maybe other people. I work in public sector, and I understand public sector, right? So I have delivered. I have put on the table two suggestions, and I know what other people have to say what they'll come up with. But something must be done, because right now, you're saying cricket, you get cricket.
But what do you think about the bigger issue we're trying to be go, especially with the core public service, and the fact that there seems to be a lot. I was talking about it just before you called. There seems to be a lot of leakages in on the expenditure side. Right? We're paying for things that we ain't getting. We overpaying for while the payment is small, we overpaying for services because we don't get any services. And I was talking about WASA and all these other state enterprises where people we just have a huge labor force, but we ain't getting the productivity for it. We ain't getting the result. We ain't seen the results of it. What was your take on that?
Well, you have to remember places like WASA and Tianta to a certain extent that lots of people they were for some reason these places always seem to be overpopulated based on what they call the fixed cadre, right? It happens in the corporations and all these places. So we have every agency in Trinidad and Tobago, every institution has what they call a fixed cadre, you know? And officers in charge are talking about it now, right? They just
right. So that's the establishment they're talking about.
Yeah, well, they call it a cadre too. Right. Yeah, the establishment, they call it a cadre, right? They get overpopulated, and when it becomes a issue now, everybody breaks in and say, well, you tell me to employ so and so, you tell me to.
No, well, if you're talking the establishment will have a prescribed amount. Cabinet will say this is what yeah. You know, is the establishment at any given time. Yeah, the problem is when we have the establishment and the establishment seem not to be able to produce what has to be produced, and then they authorize short-term labor in the form of contracts to be able to do the same thing the establishment was supposed to be doing, because the skill may not have been there at the establishment. And then you have a problem where those short-term contracts end up long-term contracts, and then you have reasonable expectation, and you have all those other things, and you have problems down you, like what would have been spoken about at AGC.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, AGC is a parallel to what happened in some of the local government bodies. In that some of the corporations are what they call extended boundaries from the Act 21 of 1990. But the cadre or the establishment was never increased, and that is where people got short-term contract to make up, right? Because the local government bodies, the areas were increased, and not the personnel to do cleaning and cutlassing and even road patching and all this kind of thing, right? And all these issues, the CPO is supposed to be dealing with these things together with the wherever ministry.
And it's interesting you say that, because almost all of those kind of work ministry, they would have had from the original establishment persons to do all the things that we now paying URP and CPEP and all these places to do.
Well,
from Ministry of Local Government, Ministry of Works, you know, all these places, the corporations, right? They would have had all the things that we now paying. We now still talking about URP and CPEP to be able to do, but they were created to facilitate in areas for which those other entities have on the establishment personnel to do so.
So that is how the situation is. But a lot of things, right? Because look in the local government system, all these things from 1990 to now, and whatever is causing the delay in having full complement of employees and all this kind of situation. All these things need to look into.
Well, yeah, I mean, that is something the Prime Minister would have spoken about, you know, quite a lot on the platform.
Yeah, we need to look into this thing, right? What I am saying, well, you know, they may not listen to me, but they listen to you. So I hope even so when you go to the members' pavilion that they mentioned, that the suggestions coming from from spectators viewing your cricket match, Remember cricket? According to CLR Dreams, cricket goes beyond the boundary, you know.
Beyond the boundaries.
So
cricket in the road.
That's why you're coming.
But how you think the bowling side doing, and as opposed to the batting side? What do you think going on here?
Well, the batting side is on top according to Tony Kozia. The batting side is on top. I forgot about that. But I find recently they seem to get a little tied down by the guys of the spin bowlers.
Yes, you think they're playing some ball that should be swinging, and they're swinging at some balls that they should be playing by?
Well, I think they should give him the batting should be aggressive, West Indian Viv Richard style. You understand? The batting should be a little more aggressive, right? And that is why England started playing this T20 because they develop a new style of playing T20 cricket and something like baseball. So it's hard hitting all the time, right? They have a name they call it, but it's the type of cricket, right? So you see, we have to keep up with the times. And even going back to West Indies cricket, that is why we are failing, because we're not keeping up with the times, right? And even Trinidad football, we're not keeping up with the times. We need to get widely experienced professionals. Forget money. You see, that's the issue. You have to pay for any good product. You have to pay. Chinese go see long time say good thing not cheap.
Good.
And right?
Cheap thing no good.
Cheap no good. Yeah. So we have to go. It may sound as a joke, but it's a serious thing, right? We have to spend money to get the true benefits. So I am saying, I don't know. I met Mr. Hilton Cupid, who was the CPO, and he's a man who gave workers the just due in the public sector. And then we had after Mr. Cupid went during the night, and they bring in Mr. Roland Baptiste, as a contract CPO. But Roland Bassi was the first contract CPO, but he didn't last long because when the government came in 1991, he more or less went his way, right? And now we had a lady, I think, her name was Ms. Jouvet. She was the CPO, but she was a rank and file public officer. And now we have this CPO man. Now I do not. He's contract. Yeah, well, he was he came from the outside, right? So I do not know, but I am pleading and I'm saying that the Minister of Finance, because the CPO works under the direct.
But I was just saying that a caller. The CPO, I mean, the blaming is CPO, but the CPO has parameters, and not just parameters, but he has to take into consideration other prevailing situation that the numbers and that kind of thing. It had to make sense.
But just to end, the back it's not computation now. Computations. Back don't have to pay like long time in the 70s and the early 80s. Because everything is computerized now. We have IRIS and different types of compensation, preparing compensation back payments. So it could be done. It's like long term, and you have to do overtime, and you have to give this one overtime, and all this.
Yeah, touch of a button, and you get all the computation.
So I am wishing the best for myself and for everybody else in that. Right? And I hope that good sense prevails. And because I only hear, just before you came in here, I only hear that Baron saying he was Spanish woman and crazy singing, Chiquita Chiquita. Right? And so everybody want
everybody. I mean, Christmas is coming.
Yeah.
Goose is getting fat.
I hear Christmas is coming, the goose is getting fat yet. I hear that one, although that is an old stage type music. Christmas is coming, the goose is getting fat. So I do not know what. All I can say, I hope for the best, and I pray that goodwill, right? Goodwill will be made available. If we can't pay the I think that for years time now, if we cannot pay the arrears, offer serving officers and retired officers from 14, because these are the people you're concerned with, from 14 coming right down to today. Offer them a month's salary in advance, which will be deducted whenever the back pay is settled, or you offer based on different classifications.
That's a good suggestion. I don't know if he may be able to do that, but that's a good suggestion, of course.
No, but he could suggest it to the Minister of Finance, and Minister of Finance could take it, in the appropriate forum.
Because the PSA leader seems to be just suggesting something else in relation to promises are promise, and they are wanting to find out, well, what's the cause of the delay?
Because the back pay is not only about wages, and because you have daily rated too. Remember, daily rated get wages and monthly paid are paid salaries. But we have daily rated personnel too.
Yeah.
People in corporations, different ministries and corporations, right? So these people also, looking forward for some kind of remedy. Yeah, they are looking for some kind of remedy. So it's a whole population of people who this thing affecting. And I'm telling you, there is this division again because some got the 4% and some unions didn't take it. Right? So we have to look at that and hope for a speedy recovery.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, caller.
Okay,
nice
good.
Analysis.
Yeah, good. Thanks.
Right.
Yeah.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we have been talking a lot about what is the state of play as it relates to the 10%, the back pay, and also what is happening in places like HGC and changes in the administration. Good evening, caller. Caller, good evening.
Yeah, good evening, Mr. Matterson.
Yeah.
Mr. Matterson, I've been hearing about this negotiation or pending negotiation with the Public Service Association. And today I heard on the news where but you see, Trinidad is a place where people believe that they can operate on their own time. You have to wait.
Yeah.
There's no sort of speed or nothing in speed. You sit down, when I'm ready, I go deal with you. Right? And that kind of attitude, you go in the hospital, you talk to a nurse, and you sit down there and you wait there. You go in the bank, you sit down there, you come to do whatever it is. That is the attitude in Trinidad. There's no urgency, right? And that has retarded the kind of development and that kind of thing. And in Trinidad, so if the CPO, yes, he has some instruction because he can offer 15% if the government can't pay 15%.
Well, this is what I
so the fact remaining, he lazy, works with the Minister of Finance. And we saw in the last regime, the Minister of Finance was saying 4%, 2%. That is what we give them that, and that's what I give them, and that we give them. And so there's no mystery about it. Is that he acts under the directive of the Minister of Finance. So I don't know, but I think that with respect to that the government was quite in opposition. In fact, in the campaign and even after the campaign, that they would pay the people at 10%. And I heard on the news today where, in fact, the CPO is saying that he's going to start the negotiation, but have to discuss the economy and other matters impacting on the economy.
Yes.
And then they will, well, the 10% is on the table. Right? So, apparently...
maybe he wants to tell them that coming from the minister, I mean, they may have to see a little more stimulation in the economy before they're able to raise that kind of money. But it will happen. But from their trajectory, maybe he's saying that it can happen when you want it for Christmas. I don't know. So he probably...
The Christmas thing, I think the caller before made some suggestion. But you see, the thing about it is that you have to communicate with the people.
Right.
And that is why the Bharatiya Pandya government in the late 1990s, they were very successful because they communicated with the people. And you have to communicate. You can't have people outside there. Speak to them. Tell them what's going on. But I believe that the money is available. That is my belief, that the money is there, that they would be able to pay the people, but whether the payment would be able to be made before Christmas is another concern. Right. And maybe they may have to take the advice from the previous caller with respect to, because Bharatiya Pandya and those people would have done
some
that
kind of relief, some kind of temporary relief in the meanwhile to some of the vulnerable persons who may need it most.
Right, because that was done in the 90s. Right, they did that.
We have to go for a break. So call us back on the other side of your, please. Just call us back on the other side of your. We're going break now.
You've got bills to pay, and so do we. Let's go pay some bills on the street 919 FM.
Nature's Touch Massage Therapy and Nutrition and Nature's Touch Youth Health Caravan invites you to join us live on the Street 919 FM every second and fourth Friday morning from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. We are located at number 3, 7th Avenue North via the Eastern Main Road, Barataria. For further information, please call or WhatsApp the numbers 398-8282 or our office numbers 241-7568 and 310-8671. Remember, at Nature's Touch, your health is our responsibility.
Playway Parang Payday is the order to win more money for your dollar.
The Playway Parang Payday draw is the way to win more money for Christmas. If a white ball calls, it's removed from the machine, and when the Parang ball calls, you win 28-1 on the base, plus bigger mega mix payouts. Players must be 18 years and over. Please play responsibly.
Bigger payouts with Playway.
Hey Richard, you know I have been saving every month so that I could set up a fund for the grandkids.
but I would really like a place where the money is actually making dollars and cents to me.
Boy, TBLA has a proven track record of high returns. I actually trust them with my family's future. My father saved there, and now I save in there. My future is secure. Invest where you and your family's money would be safe.
I want quality and security.
Visit TBLA and find out which investment is right for you. For more info, visit tblamortgages.com. TBLA, a secure home to invest.
There's some advice when you hear it, you know one time is good advice. My granny tell me a hot cup of good and natural ginger tea first thing in the morning does wonders for the body. Good and natural ginger tea in its single-sized packets is excellent for flavoring your cooking, salads and desserts. But what was news for me is when my granny say a hot cup of good and natural ginger tea helps with nasal congestion and colds, stomach problems, migraine headaches, and it's really good for arthritis in the body. Made from freshly crushed ginger root to get that strong ginger taste and aroma so soothing. Good and natural ginger tea available with or without sugar, so all you need is boiling water to get a cup going. As the old people say, don't take flambeau to see the night what you could see clear in the day. Good and natural ginger tea. Good advice to start your day right.
Saying goodbye to a loved one, we at Precious Memories Funeral Services know it's never easy. Let's help you with our 3 C's: class, comfort, and care. Our services include funeral and memorial planning, shipping and receiving of loved ones, pre-arrangements of funerals and cremations, bereavement counseling, drafts of wills, and estate planning. Free modern-day refrigeration for your loved ones. Open 24 hours and located at number 12 Eastern Main Road, Aruka. Call 222-0218 for more information. Precious Memories Funeral Services. Today's little memories becomes tomorrow's precious memories.
The Gap Man Limited specializes in products that cater to all your health needs. The Male Enhancement Package targets the areas of the body that contribute to erectile dysfunction. The Male Enhancement costs $1,400. The Gap pills are priced at 250 pills for $500 and 500 pills for just $900. For the best in eye care, get the super combination of a Super Bright and the Body Healer. To improve the heart's function and circulation, get the Gap pills and Formula C. To get a total body cleanse daily, use the Gap Body Healer and Big C, all for a super low price of $1,300. To order your products from the Gap Man Limited, call 628-4531 for products that cater to all your health needs.
For more info, contact 476-7268.
The Embassy Yacht is back and ready to transform your events into unforgettable experiences. Launched from King's Wharf, San Fernando, the perfect starting point for an epic experience of luxury, music, and celebration on the open water. By booking our vessel, your event will include a house DJ, state-of-the-art sound system, fully stocked bar, dedicated cleaning crew, top-notch security. This isn't just a venue, it's a floating masterpiece designed to make your event the talk of the town. Imagine your guests dancing under the stars, drinks in hand, with breathtaking views of the coastline as your backdrop. From birthdays to corporate events to exclusive parties, the Embassy Yacht offers promoters a unique platform to create unforgettable memories and boost your brand's reputation. Call or WhatsApp 399-5959 or email embassycruises@gmail.com.
It's the most wonderful time of the year.
Merry Christmas.
Starting November 1st, we kick off the Parang and Christmas season right here. Ready to hear your song? Email us your request at street919music@gmail.com with your contact number, and you will get to shout out your music on the air.
2026, I want to share some licks. Certain thing in the industry have to fix. 2026, I want to share some licks. Certain thing in the carnival have to fix. I ain't going no party if I don't know who's singing. I don't know who playing. I don't know who DJing. I say I ain't going no party if I don't know who's singing. I don't know who playing. I don't know who DJing. Before I pay, you have to assure me. What happened in 5 cartel show can't happen to me. Before I spend $1, I want to see your flyer. Who is the party. I just want to jump up, hey, free up, hey, hands in the air, flags up in the air. I just want to jump up, hey, free up, hey, hands in the air, flags up in the air. 2026, I wanna share some licks. Certain thing in the industry have to fix. 2026, I wanna share some licks. Certain thing in the guys so hard to fix. I ain't going no guys to dance if you know how calypso. Sweet calypso. All you wanted to go, I say. I ain't going no guys to dance if you know how calypso. Sweet calypso. The hours and crow before I pay. You have to assure me. They will not be seeing the song suggesting go away. Let's think about the country, how we can make money, how to raise a family, how to live in love and unity. I just want to jump up, hey, free up, hey, hands in the air, flags up in the air. Everybody jump up, hey, free up, hey, hands in the air, flags up in the air.
Share the live. Share the live. The Street 919 FM on Facebook and Instagram. Share the live. Iowa George on Instagram. Share the live. Iowa TV and Street TV on YouTube. Share the live. The Street 919 FM.
Yes, callers and listeners, I am back. You are listening to the Third Umpire, and I invite you to call. We are having discussions on not just the state of the economy, but a number of issues that we would have raised in the last hour. In the last hour, we would have spoken about the PSA claim and their quest to get money before Christmas, the 10% that was promised to them. And we also dovetail a little into the situation at HGC, where 26 contract workers were sent home, and the statement by the chairman of the HGC regarding the position at HGC, what they would have found, and how they need to manage the organization to get to the next level, or at least to provide to the country what they stated that they will provide to the country at election. So those things are the things that are occupying the field today. And of course, you can call us and we could have those kind of discussions. Let me take this call. Yes, good evening, caller.
Yeah, good, Mr. Matheson.
Yeah.
I think the government would have given the PSAs an undertaking to pay that 10%. And I could empathize with the head of the public service, because she would also give her members, the membership, the undertaking that they would get their 10%. So I could understand, her position. Just as how the government is accountable, she's also accountable to the membership. Unless she gives an undertaking, they are concerned. So I have no problem with her. She may appear to be a bit uneasy and making the demands, which I think that she's in a position so to do. But I don't know. As I said, something has to give. The 10%, I think the CPO, as I said that he's going to put the 10% on the table. Now, the question as to whether the money, because the opposition been touting all over the place that they didn't have the money, they don't have the money, and the government is saying, well, look, listen, we are going to recruit some 20,000 people within the public service, and they have started the process. So I want they are in the best position to know whether, in fact, the money is there, the finances are there to make such payments in terms of emoluments or salaries and wages as it goes, to daily paid and monthly paid and those people with respect to the retroactive payment in terms of the back pay and all that.
But Paula, do you think that, I mean, let's look at it critically. Do you think that there are other means by which the government could earn revenue, etch out revenue to be able to do these things and try and add this state?
Well, the thing about it is this, is that I remember in the past where you have had that gone to the banks and they got bonds and whatnot, and they were able to put bonds on the market and whatnot, and they raised the necessary finances to make payment, even back pay and all that. Mm-hmm. So that may be possible.
Things like the NIC. Things like the NIC and all those things.
All those things,
public
you
sector
had
investment programs and things.
Right, and you had where they paid people in bonds. I remember in the public service, people were telling me that they got payment and they went to those discounts, but that had to do with the I think was the money that the NAR had taken away from them.
But if you were to you see what the public somehow isn't able to rationalize is, I mean, if you were to juxtapose the challenge that seems to be almost imminent in relation to raising the money to pay back pay and that kind of thing, against the lofty plans that were recently launched in the government revitalization program, you know, it will be hard for some people to understand, well, how that could be done or how will that be done without understanding that this is a investment invitation program, and that may very well, most of which may very well pay for itself through investors using it for a period of time and then giving it back to us, rather than having to find revenue, extra revenue to pay bills that are already expenditure, past expenditure.
Well, I am saying
that nobody can get anything from except if you borrow.
Well, this plan that the revitalization plan, I don't think that would be achieved in 1 or 2 years or 3 years. And the fact remains is that what you see is private-public partnership, and what you seek to do, because I think the Minister of Transport said that she will be going on a road show sometime. Mm-hmm. The question is attracting foreign direct investment. And if we go back, your caller from Lahoketa been speaking about Arthur Lewis industrialization by invitation. Yeah. You saw where in the 60s, we were under very similar, in fact, we were under very tight position in the sense that you had mounting unemployment and whatnot.
But you had a lot of people at that time criticizing even that and saying that we kind of selling out the country and giving away the, you know.
You always found that, and you found that in 1986 when they sought to bring in and they talk about those free zones, and you had people at the university who were acting up and talking about free zone, and these things have almost everything you do. You have the upside and the downside.
Yeah.
You have the disadvantages and the advantages. But the thing about it is that those people who are making the noise, they are comfortably employed. But the people these plans are intended for, they are suffering, and therefore, the government has, as you said, they have to bear the cat and they have to make hard decisions, and let this, and they have to communicate with the people, because they draw the people to them, and all of they protest on the street. We don't want free zone here, and we don't, but they have no food to put on the table for the children. But those people who were making the noise, they have this monthly salary. They up at St. Augustine making noise. So I am saying that with respect to this plan, the revitalization plan, and how you link that, industrialization by invitation, yes, there was some positive, and there are also disadvantages. In fact, if you go and you Google
what happened in Malaysia, not Malaysia, Pakistan, I think.
Yeah, but the thing about it, I want to focus it because we have had the experience with that model where we sought to invite or bring people, we have to give concessions and all that. But you have, because the fact remains, investment capital on the outside is very competitive.
Exactly. And the thing is, I mean, even Trump is doing it as a matter of fact. The thing is, if you could attract investment, I mean, to me, that is a better model by any stretch, because you will be getting development almost for free. The developers or the owners or the investors will of course own the property or whatever it is for a period of time, make money from it, and then hand it over a period of time.
Yeah, because one of the things that, one of the criticism of that model was that the money, or in fact the profits that were made were sent out of the country. There were leakages in the sense that they invested and they sent the profits outside. But I'm saying that you have that model. You know the weaknesses of the model. What you need to do is to modify it. You make it. There are things that you could change.
But you had to make it attractive too.
Yes. So you have to make it. You could change it, and you make it more attractive and whatnot, and you make it more beneficial to the people of Trinidad and Tobago or the economy of Trinidad and Tobago and the people as a whole. But I'm saying that those are the things, and you go back to the model because everybody is looking for investment, and Trump and all looking for investment in America. In fact, they invited England.
Yeah,
looking for foreign direct investment.
Exactly.
And in fact, I think they got some $60 billion in foreign investment.
Trump is reducing tariffs on your nation if you invest, if you do your business in the U.S.
Yes. So the fact remains is that I am saying that you have to compete for that capital on the outside, right? That outlay that you need or that investment that you need is highly competitive. And you have to go there. You can't sit down here in Trinidad and Tobago and expect that they will just come to you. You have to go there. You invite them here. You need to go there, as Julian John is seeking to do, and hopefully things will work out.
Yeah.
But I just want to end by saying that with respect to that 10%, I think the government has given an undertaking, and it is in the interest of the government in terms of the goodwill that they have, and again that desire to act. That desire to act in good faith, that they honor that agreement. And if you have challenges, you need to communicate with the unions with respect to that. And again, I suggest that you take a serious look at what the gentleman from La Hoqueta would have said in terms of making a sort of interim payment to the public officers, as it were. But I don't see any challenge in terms of paying the back pay. I think they can do it. What you need people in this Trinidad and Tobago who are creative. You have to be creative.
Yeah.
Under Bazde Pande, you had this fellow you call Python. I don't know, I forget about what people want to say about him and whatnot. But as a Minister of Finance, he was very creative. And this is what you want in a country, people with ideas, people who can get things done, come up with ideas and put it to work. You don't want people to sit down there and raise gas 3 times, raise it and cut. You don't want that. You want people who can get things done.
Trying to live off your flesh. Trying to live off your flesh.
Yes, you don't want that. You want people, and the fact remains is that everybody knew in this country that the person who you had as a Minister of Finance over the last, I don't think that he had the competence, and people also question his competence to operate on that level. But you see, they believe in nonsense. They always believe, and people throw slogan all about the place. All you need to do is what you have. A level head and common sense and all kind of nonsense. You need to have people who are trained. If you want to run a business, if I want to run a business, a shop, I don't want a mason to run no shop for me. Right? If I want to run a store or some business, I don't want no nurse to run it for me. I want people who are trained in management,
I want an
business,
MBA to run.
to run my thing for me.
Correct.
In this country, this is the only country I see where anything goes.
Yeah, we are engineers running Ministry of Finance as opposed to a finance person or a manager, a MBA, or something like that.
And
you know?
and not to say you don't have the talent there, you know. You have the people with the qualification. You have the people with the experience, but you won't put them there to run this country. And this is the chaos we find ourselves in today. Thank you, Mr. Matterson.
Thank you. Yeah, and that sums up to a large extent some of the problems we have in Trinidad and Tobago with respect to management of resources, critical resources. Let me take this caller. Seen a caller calling here. Good evening, Bataya.
Good evening. Then this last call. The UNC's in office. So why should we go back to the former Minister of Finance? He's an engineer. What is the qualification of this one that we have? What is he? Does he have is he, unlike unlike the former who left and get 11 million, what was his name?
Kwaitong?
Nah. Well, don't talk about here. Here he said Kwaitong. Kwaitong wasn't the man with the airport. Kwaitong isn't the man that the state just get nearly $1 billion.
Caller, something with your phone. Caller?
Nah, my phone or something with...
Huh?
All right. I think we get it right. So Kwaitong wasn't the man that we had in court? So how could he be a good finance minister when he was drawn before the court with airport 20-something years and Kwaitong fighting extradition? Guterres and what name go to jail, make the jail, come out playing with golf with the grandchildren, and we still fighting Kwaitong. So what could... So the president... Now that is not from my end, but my radio is off. That's something on your end.
Alright. Yeah.
Alright. Okay. So I don't understand where Uncle going with that. Because I have a man who is in charge of national security. He was supposed to be a police officer. And when he said, I have 24 months before the fire tenders come, and the man actually tell me how much years. That was our story. So then we still have square pegs in the wrong hole. Because I see the lady who is in charge of this union, was it PSA, telling us last night or sometime, and I heard the actual gentleman that she had to go and speak to on Friday a few days ago saying he on vacation. And when they come, the conversation that we are going to have, not about the 10%, you know. It's about the state of the economy. So she has to go and listen to the state of the economy before we could discuss. But where does he get his instruction from? Not the Minister of Finance, because he works under the Ministry of Finance. So the discussion he has to have with her has to come from his boss to tell him whether he could pay the money or not. So we have a whole group of citizens voted with the intention that manna would have fallen from heaven and would have get 10%. Who fool who?
I don't think that was the only. I don't think that was the only reason why people voted, though.
I could give you several reasons, and one of the reasons is that they hate Dr. Rowley. They find that Dr. Rowley can't talk to people, just like what Uncle just said. And Dr. Rowley is a tyrant. But you know now, my Prime Minister don't talk to me. You know, she do like Chum. What Chum does use? Twitter, but they give it a new name now, or whatever they call it. That's what Chum does use. So my Prime Minister don't come to talk to the population anymore. When she does, she'll get on social media and send the post just like how she tell me. Imagine that. If Dr. Rowley had said to the citizens at Trinidad and Tobago, they're going on party from 2 until 10. They'd ask if Dr. Rowley see the citizens at Trinidad and Tobago and the children. You telling children when to go on party and telling them when to come back home. And we sit down and just accept that and roll over. Come on.
So you don't think that was good advice, boy?
Well, I heard the people in St. James, good advice. And as I said to you yesterday, if we are to consider Carnival as our culture, that is not how it does work. We just party from sunrise to sunset. We market our culture. We market Trinidad and Tobago as a capital of Carnival. We party from Friday until Sunday. Not so? That's what we use to attract tourists. The place they could come and relax and lime and hang out. If that is the case, then you're dealing with children. Then I call that dictator. I call that master rule, because here we're going on our Prime Minister telling us we are not independent thinkers and movers in this society no more. We have to follow the rule of slave master. So we are slaves, and the master passes the rule, and we rock back and accept that. That is what they're telling me. When you talk about compare a man who has a qualification as an engineer compared to a man who is in charge of our national security, what is qualification? Just because he was a policeman and big and strong.
Well, it's the same thing. I mean, maybe
so then we exchange.
Former Minister of Finance.
So if that was the case, if we had that theory before, when that other party was in office, then why do we change that from what all they considered worse, and I would call wasser? Hines made a more intellectual statement than we could get from our president. Well, don't talk about the Minister of Foreign Affairs. Even worse. Because I had my Attorney General going all the way to England to tell them, and the Foreign Affairs Minister didn't even know that the Americans what they come in here to do. And we must sit down and just roll back and accept that. This is the worst administration Trinidad. I am missing $1 billion US and nobody answering the question. What they call it, my importation was supposed to be for 6 months, somewhere around 5 months, and nobody is asking the Minister of Finance. So he fooled me until we take 1%, $1 off our gas, and everybody jump up and rock back until they sell. In this 6 months, nearly 50,000 people gone home. My economy has slowed down. Look at what they tell me, because that's why they can't pay PSA yet. That's why they haven't, because there was no allegation in the budget for that. And the pipe dream that Jolene John resurrect the PNM vision and bring back. I say she come with another budget, because all that things she promised me and nothing like that in the budget to tell me here we're going on. In our 5 years, we intend to build this.
Well, you can't budget foreign direct investment.
Well, when are they going to take place, sir? Well, how am I going to get foreign direct investment? How am I going to get foreign direct? Where's that coming from? Who? When they talk about all around the world, you know one of the reasons why China is with China is today is because of labor. Invest people to come here, cheap labor. China had the cheapest labor in the world. Trump telling everybody come back home, otherwise if you don't come back home, I'll pay a tariff on you. What do we have? We could market cheap labor. The only thing we could market here is cheap electricity and we have gas. Our workforce is nearly, wow. So what are we marketing? Until we get the workforce to be a productive society, as you say, who going and build the cat? All that is just pipe dream. Nobody don't come in a society where the population is laid back, you know. And the population is not productive. What we are to build is a productive society, a productive group of people. When you go to work, on the government work, you are supposed to do 8 hours work as a teacher, as a fire officer, as a policeman. We don't get that. And here we're going on. If PSA don't get it, you know something? They said Children's Hospital. I see the Nurses Association is making noise and saying that here we not disqualified nurse, we not that, and we not this, and we not that. And they're taking out this one from here and breaking up. So if the state of emergency is to end, I would have nurses on the street, I would have public servants on the street, I would have the past WASA, you are, what do you call them, CFEP? This government in fact hard rude awakening because the population can't take it no more. Enjoy.
Thank you, caller. Right. So we were addressing on the program. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's causing this. Master Control, if you're listening. Good evening, caller.
Good afternoon, Mackerson.
Uh-huh.
They're not the three umpires.
Good afternoon.
Some of them are the
Caller? You're muted?
Yes, no, hear me now. Good afternoon, Mackerson.
Yeah, I'm hearing you. Loud and clear.
Good afternoon, umpire. They're not the umpire. Some of them are the drop or catch. You make that man come and spread a whole set of propaganda.
Nah, everybody.
I told the radio station and
we
I
have
told the
you.
radio station and board them spread propaganda for the last 9 years.
We have you
Let
now.
go on the P and them.
We have you.
With that.
Listen, we have you now. You say your part. We listen
right.
to everybody here.
Wait. You know, he come through the high seas. He come here when he was green. He reached ripe. He former Prime Minister in St. Vincent. Family get 3 houses. He fighting and toiling for the piano for donkey years. You know, you never place as the home. He's still renting. And I set up propaganda. They could come out to say, they have no money. He different column bird. He raised poor people pension. This was the same pension for the last 9 years. Them raise them pension. Them know they were doing. They were telling the population that have no money there. I want to keep his column bird buy a phone for him. By the time you go back home, because you stuff in this country ain't got no house, let Rabbits I give you a house. Bless.
Not easy, no? Caller. Right. So, this evening, the discussion centered around the arrangement. Well, we raised a lot of issues. I raised a lot of issues. But it centered around the question of the PSA 10% and what the PSA is saying. And 2 particular articles were of special importance to me today. And one was the one that we talked where the PSA was talking about the CPO and the question of the CPO, who was advising the CPO. And the other one had to do with the situation of the 26 employees whose contracts were not renewed at the HGC. And the question of they having a reasonable expectation, but sometimes somehow raised by those who purport that maybe the HGC should have rehired them. And I was saying that does not necessarily, that rule does not necessarily apply all the time. So that rule is subject to other things, right? And those other things might be, for starters, performance, for starters, the availability of the job continuing to exist. If, for instance, the company may have changed the nature of the work, or did a restructure and change change the type of skills needed for that particular job or a job that these persons do not possess, then they will not necessarily have a reasonable expectation. So this is just a hint as to what could happen. I want to read an article by Akash Samaru on this particular issue, where the chairman of the HGC would have said a couple of things, right? While the Public Service Association is pushing for the reinstatement of 26 employees whose contracts were not renewed, the chairman of the Housing Development Corporation is defining the move, saying the workers were surplus requirements, calling the HGC a sick cow. Chairman Feroz Khan said, "It is riddled with ticks and must be allowed to heal." We'll come back to that. The workers were assigned to a subsidiary of the HGC, which is the Housing Development Corporation Construction Company Limited. Guardian Media understands that though the workers' contracts had expired, many had been informally assured that they would be renewed. Some employees whose contracts ended as far back as July 2025 continued working and receiving full pay with no written indication that their contracts would not be renewed. It is also being claimed that several workers whose contracts remained valid until December 2025 were terminated early without prior notice. Their position ranged from site supervisors, project assistants, and senior project engineers. PSA President Felicia Thomas said yesterday that the union is aware of the matter and an initial discussion was had on Monday with a follow-up carried for this week. What we are seeking, and this is Felicia Thomas, is reinstatement. Thomas said, asked if she was surprised by the HEC's move, and PSA President said, of course, I was shocked, but I need to get the context of what was taking place because I am aware they are the new company that were formed. I wasn't sure whether or not it was in relation to the new companies. So I needed to get the facts in relation to what was taking place. So there was a bit of shock, but still a need to get to understand what was happening and why it was happening. But while the PSA had called for reinstatement, the HEC may not be so inclined. The HEC chairman said the corporation cannot sustain continuous blood sucking. The CCL, which is the company that she mentioned before, the new company, when the CCL was formed, they were supposed to have an establishment of 13 people. And they bloated up to 68. HGC has lost 700 million last year and the year before. On a monthly basis, the overheads are over 40 million and it just cannot be sustained. Continuing like that, the whole thing will crash. He posited. Khan said that even with losing 26 workers, HGC will still be able to fulfill its mandate of building and distributing 20,000 homes in the next 5 years. Just want to chew on that because that is something that, that there are a lot of issues inside of that one story. And it relates, of course, to some of the things that I've been talking about in relation to how these state enterprises are managed and what happened, the politics involved. So if you have an establishment built for 13 people and you raise it to 68 people, obviously that is expenditure that, that may at some point in time interfere with the ability to pay workers. And what you have here is contracts would have ended and there may not necessarily be need to renew them. And that is all the government is saying. That is all Mr. Khan is saying. If you are saying, if the union is saying, well, by any means, you still have to rehire them and pay them the salaries they were paying, they were being paid, not taking into consideration that we may not necessarily have work for them or they may not be able to produce the kind of revenue or do things to raise the kind of revenue to be paid, then I would find that to be irresponsible. 700 million in 1 year and 700 million the year before, losing that and wanting to continue along that same line, I think that is madness. What do you say? I'd like to hear what you have to say. That, in my opinion, as a professional, may not even require a restructure. It's just common sense. But I'd like to hear what Trinidad and Tobago have to say, because this is what we inherited. This is what the government inherited from the last administration. And I would like to hear what Mr. Bataria have to say about that. Good evening, Mr. Bataria, again.
Good evening. What I would like to, where did we lose that 700 million? Was that 700 million just wages alone? 700 million you're talking about. How did we lose that? He didn't tell us that.
From poor management.
Well, again, what part of the institution, because you're sending home how many workers?
26 workers.
Well, 26 workers. Cannot spend 400 million.
No, but you're missing the point, Mr. Bataria. That's just part of it. I mean, there might be other wastage and other things in the organization that need fixing. What we're saying is, what I am saying is that somebody needs to belly cat, and maybe
in every government institution, the cat needs to be bet. In every government institution, there is not a government institution in Trinidad and Tobago that could self-sustain itself and make it profitable. None. Everyone is being subsidized. Almost every single one.
And you have no problem with that?
Of course I have a problem. I have been having a problem with that from my existence from ever. It all boils down to, I tell you just now, it all boils down to the productivity of each citizen, the role that they have.
So then I would agree with you in having a problem with it from since then.
Right.
And if both parties who talking right now, who seem to be very eloquent with respect to the issues, they have been in office from since then. But one of them now is taking a decision to belly cut.
Well, you hear the problem here now. When we get into office, when I vote for you, you didn't tell me that. You give me the intention that when you win, everybody wins. You give me the intention, the belief that there will be no more contract employment.
Well, belling the cat doesn't necessarily mean you're going to lose, you know?
Well, they lose.
No. You lose.
Belting the cat. So let me give you an example. As I was pointing out to you, they said before they got into office that all contract workers, we would make all your permanent when we get inside. That was said.
So have you gone on the government website, the employee TT, and see how many vacancies are there now? Where they're looking to put people in places, real jobs, real places to do real productivity.
I am hearing you, you know. I am hearing you. But the 40,000 people that went home from CPEP and URP and all those make work programs are not qualified for all them jobs that you know talking about.
And who's the cause of that?
The individuals of themselves.
The individual of themselves?
But if you upgrade yourself or your level of education is of such a standard, it's not my fault or the state fault, but it's the state duty somewhat to make sure that you don't end up in a life of crime, hopefully. So
well, I don't know if there's a correlation. I don't know if there's a correlation between that and crime. But what I'm saying is,
but they say poverty is crime
in all societies.
Well, all right. So then, if I am not employable, that is the people that CPEP, forestry, and all these people. That is the people that they employ. The people that we considered unemployable. That is who CPEP and URP employs. The people in society that we consider unemployable. So these people that are unemployable can't apply for these jobs that you're talking about because they are unemployed.
I am surprised of the support the persons who say what you say get, because there are so many things that could happen. There are so many things. Sometimes these situations are in preparation for other situations that will make the country more... Hello?
I am not disputing that. But here we're going on. I have learned in order to ease anybody's position, the financial position of the state has to change. Because if the financial position of the state was different, like when they got into office first, when they got into office, if CPEP had 5,000 workers, They made it 15,000. You know why? Because Mr. Manning left 16 billion or 13 billion in NGC. And how much billion again in the treasury? That they was able to have access to that. On this occasion, they didn't have that. On this occasion, when they left us with 3/4 of negative growth and a 14% increase for public servants. That we had was to go and raise the debt ceiling in order to pay the same public servants that they had promised 14%. In that 10 years, I had something the world has never seen, or we ain't going to see for the next 100 years, was a pandemic that lasts almost, and up to this day, 5 years after, there are societies still cannot catch themselves, and what we consider developed societies, more developed than ours.
So listen, caller, I hear you with all of that. I hear you with all that. What is the solution, boy? What is the solution, boy?
Well, the solution was there. That society.
No, don't tell me what it was there. You tell me what is still Trinidad and Tobago, what the solution is.
The solution is that let me be frank, Trinidad and Tobago does not have the money it had 10 years ago.
Right. So tell us what is the solution. That's what we want to hear. This is what this program is about, solutions.
The solution is the same thing the Prime Minister said to us, the former one. Tighten we belts.
Okay. So what we do? What the chairman of AGC? What the chairman of AGC and NONGS? What do you call that tighten belt tighten?
Yeah, but I think it is because
right. So you agreeing with what they're doing then?
Well, there is the point I'm making to you. This conversation, without a change of government, was there. The people who are there now tell us what they were singing wasn't true. That's the point I'm making. When we said tighten your belt, them say mad. Look, they come and they get themselves a big increase. And I'm saying, if them same people who was against the increase when they get into office, that the same way they reverse short young pension, if you so care and want to make an impact, then they'd reverse yours and carry back yours the same way. And you wouldn't have go in the parliament to ensure that you get your pension quick. So, come on. Enjoy evening.
But I hear you.
Yes, my brother.
Thank you, caller. And it's important to listen to everybody. And the caller does have a point. And he makes our case lucidly. Good evening, caller.
Good afternoon, Mr. Matterson and the listeners. The solution is Mr. Matterson. That is what Bataya wants to hear. The solution is the PNM. But the thing about the politics that we experience in this country, and I call it ping-pong politics, right? It is not so much the politicians right now is our greatest issue, you know. It is the support that they manage to make while
Caller, I don't know what's happening here. Right. Sorry about that, caller. I think we lost you there. Yeah, I think we need to, in Trinidad and Tobago, we need to start to think about solution. And you know, I read a book one time that talks about the acres. This person who was looking for the acres at diamond, and the acres at diamond sometimes is right in your backyard. So if we start to think critically, you will see how even with what you think is adversity could work for you. All them people who went home, those CPEP workers and that kind of, you know, people. Let me take this call. Good evening, caller.
Yeah.
Caller.
Yeah, hello?
Yeah, I'm hearing you.
Yes, I don't want to get into tit for tat and dialogue with callers really. But as you said, what you're about is solution. And I think if people in Trinidad would have listened or looked at the budget, if they would have looked at that revitalization plan, they would see some elements of the things that the government is proposing to deal with the economic problems that we face today.
Because all those development will create a huge amount of work.
Yes. And people have to
Sustainably.
understand. Yeah. But you see, again, as we live in a political atmosphere that is steeply adversarial. And you have people who may have left office, or probably their tenure would have come to an end, right? Where the population may have rejected them, and they want to get back into office. And therefore, those who are in power, they may not necessarily want to see them succeed. So all I'm hearing is just negative about this. But I've grown accustomed to that. I've been used to that. I've been around. I mean, as Struggles would say, I'm tongue long. You say too long, I'm tongue long. So I understand the politics. But this country could only, and I could go back to 1986. And I had a discussion with somebody. Nothing that the man Robinson did under the NAR, they attacked that man with full force. He couldn't do anything. Even when he talked about bringing in, they spoke about the same free zone that we spoke about. They had problems with that. He couldn't make with that. Right? So they are not anything that would bring the country forward, and they are not in a position to do it. They oppose it. And they vigorously oppose it, and this is what, and people have to understand, and that is what that is the path that they are on. People have to understand that, and I'm saying that this country has to go forward. This country can't go further down. And when people talk about when they came into office in 2015, the reserve was $11.5 billion, and the HFS was about $5.7 billion. When they left office, the reserve was $4.6 billion, and I'm quoting this statistic. I'm looking at statistics for the Central Bank, and it was also quoted by Mala Dukaran, Sajiwan Ali, right? Even Mariano Brown and all these people, and that reserve were made up of borrowing from international financial institutions and money that they took from the HFF. So that is where we were. And that is where we are. We had, in terms of the money that we would have borrowing, and what people fail to realize, when you have that high level level of borrowing to GDP, debt to GDP, it means that you have to find money to pay for the cost of the money that you borrowed. That is the interest. That is where we find ourselves. We find ourselves in a very precarious situation.
So
this is where the country is
we have
at.
to find creative ways. So we have to find creative ways to get out of that, and one of that might be, very well be, industrialization by invitation.
Yes, and that is what the NALs met when they came in 1986. And therefore they had because the fact that there was no forex, and therefore they had to go to the Paris Club. They had to go to the IMF, and they had to take austerity measures, which was very, very punitive, right? And probably they didn't understand the politics. And Robinson was saying that the people would believe in the wisdom of the people and all that. Not when you have people like Maurice Marshall and others marching and moving and ranting up and down the street, together with some of those people who are now still there. So I'm saying that. I come back to the point, you need people who could think, people who are creative, people with ideas, people with the capacity to manage the affairs of this country, right? And when people talk about moving, and you need all ministries, everything in chaos, everything, the school in chaos, the police in chaos, everything is in total chaos. And therefore, you how you get out of it? They said they're rolling out some plans, and hopefully we would get there. But we need, again, those people who, because we are here, and if, as I always say, this country stinks, everybody goes wrong with it. You and I going down. Probably they're not going down. They're going up.
Everybody going down with it.
Everybody. You see? So we all, this is where we need unity. We need a united approach in order to save this country and to save ourselves. And I always say again, if the economic situation becomes worse, you have social problems, you have health, you have crime, you have, you name it, everything. And therefore, we can be very well the lives we save could be our own, your neighbor, your son, your children, your neighbor own, your whole community. And therefore, we have a responsibility to ensure that this country progress, else everybody fall together. So I have no time with them on the other side. I am hopeful and I'm supporting any move to take this country out of the morass they have put it in. Thank you.
Yeah. If Trinidad and Tobago, especially the younger people, understand that it sometimes is by thinking through things, small business ideas, ideation. AI, for instance, is going to make some of the most millionaires in the next 5 years. There are so many opportunities, so many things that we could develop, so many ideas we could, snowball on. And we are not taking advantage of. All we see in is negative. All we see in is people losing their job. And listen, I can tell you about me. A little over 10 or probably about 14 years ago, 14, 15 years ago, I was in the same position. I lost my job. Government changed. I lost my job. And I didn't sit down. I decided to, I had prepared myself. And the thing is, one of the things we say, opportunity, there's no luck in life. Luck is, the real true meaning of luck is opportunity meeting preparation. I was prepared. And I took certain decisions to do my own business. And I started that, helping people and helping companies. And the people who supported me didn't even look like me. By the way, they didn't even look like me. Until I was able to now do everything, advise very large companies, international companies, and earn a living from that. And I'm saying that there are a lot of opportunities out there for people to do similar things. So, just put yourself in a position where you could take advantage of opportunities when they come by. And that's my mantra, that's my thesis this evening. So, ladies and gentlemen, we've come to the end of the show. And certainly we will be seeing you tomorrow. We will be sitting with you to have this kind of match analysis tomorrow. So you have a good evening and safe journey to where you're going.
Tune in to the Street 919 FM for Gospel in the Bone Ministry every Sunday from 7:05 a.m. to 8:55 a.m. for the program God's Last Warning Message. Hosea chapter 4 says, "Hear the word of the Lord, ye children of Israel, for the Lord hath